There is one lie that has probably shaped your life more than anything anyone has ever said to you. It wasn't spoken by your parents. It wasn't spoken by your friends. It wasn't spoken by society. It was spoken by you. Quietly, repeatedly, for years. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Because after hearing the same lie long enough, you stop questioning it. You start calling it reality. Maybe your lie sounds like this. I'm just not that confident. I'm not good enough. I'm better off alone. I don't need anyone. This is just who I am. Or maybe yours is quieter. I'm fine. I'm over it. It doesn't bother me anymore. The strange thing about self-deception is that it almost never feels like deception. It feels like acceptance. It feels mature. It feels logical. It even feels responsible. But what if the story you've been telling yourself is the very thing keeping you trapped? Today, I don't want to talk about the lies other people told you. I want to talk about the ones you repeat every day without even realizing it, because those are the ones that quietly shape your future. Most people believe their mind is searching for truth. It isn't. Your brain is searching for safety. Those are two very different goals. Truth often demands change. Safety prefers familiarity, even if that familiarity hurts you. Imagine someone who stayed in the wrong relationship for 10 years. From the outside, everyone asks the same question. Why didn't you leave? But inside their mind, they weren't asking that question. They were asking, what if leaving is worse? Their brain wasn't choosing happiness. It was choosing predictability. Because the unknown has always frightened the human mind more than discomfort. This is why people stay in jobs they hate, remain in relationships that slowly destroy them, keep friends they've already outgrown, continue living lives that no longer fit. Not because they enjoy suffering, because suffering they already know feels safer than uncertainty they don't. The mind becomes incredibly creative when protecting you from change. It doesn't simply say, stay. It builds an entire story. A story that sounds intelligent. I'll leave after things calm down. I need a little more time. It's not the right moment. I owe them. I can handle it. Each sentence sounds reasonable. But together, they quietly become a prison. And eventually, you forget that it was ever a story. You begin calling it your personality. Some lies don't sound weak. They sound wise. I'm protecting my peace. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's avoidance wearing better clothes. I've accepted reality. Maybe. Or maybe you've simply lowered your expectations because disappointment became too painful. I'm independent, perhaps. Or perhaps asking for help became terrifying. So independence became your only option. One of the hardest things about self-deception is that it often borrows the language of growth. It disguises itself as maturity. It tells you, I've moved on, when deep down, you know you've simply stopped feeling. It says, I'm focusing on myself, when loneliness has quietly become your comfort zone. It says, I don't need validation, while secretly hoping someone finally notices how much you've been carrying. The lie survives because part of it is true. That's what makes it believable. Every convincing lie contains just enough truth to stop you from questioning the rest. And year after year, you become fluent, in explaining your own unhappiness, until one day you can explain every problem in your life, except the one person who keeps repeating the same story: yourself. Every human being has an internal narrator, a quiet voice, constantly explaining life. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's completely wrong, but your mind doesn't care whether the story is correct, only whether it's familiar. Think about the sentence you've repeated most often during the last 5 years. Maybe it's, "People always leave. I'm always the one who cares more. Nothing ever works out. I'll probably fail. I'm too late. I missed my chance." Now imagine hearing that sentence every single day for 5 years. Who wouldn't begin believing it? This is how identities are created, not through facts, through repetition. Your life slowly starts organizing itself around whatever story you believe. If you believe you're difficult to love, you'll notice every rejection and ignore every moment someone genuinely cared. If you believe you're destined to fail, every setback becomes proof. Every success becomes luck. The story keeps feeding itself, not because it's true, because your attention keeps collecting evidence for it. And before long, you stop asking, "Is this true?" You begin asking, "How do I live with it?" That question changes everything, because the moment you stop questioning the story begins writing your future. The longer you believe a lie, the harder it becomes to imagine life without it. Not because it's helping you, because it's familiar. Human beings become attached, not only to people, but to identities, even painful ones. If you've spent years believing, "I'm the responsible one," eventually, you'll feel guilty whenever you rest. If you've spent years believing, "I'm the strong one," you'll feel ashamed every time you need help. If you've spent years believing, "I always have to earn love," then unconditional kindness will feel suspicious. Notice how strange that is. Sometimes, the very thing you've wanted your whole life feels uncomfortable because it doesn't match the story you've been living. That's the power of identity. It filters reality, not through facts, through expectation. You don't see life as it is. You see life through the person you've decided you are. And the most dangerous part is that you usually don't remember making that decision. It happened gradually. One disappointment, one failure, one rejection, one betrayal, until eventually you stopped saying, "This happened to me," and started saying, "This is me." There is a huge difference. One describes an experience, the other creates an identity. Have you ever noticed that when someone tells you something true, your first reaction often isn't curiosity, it's defensiveness? That's because truth threatens identity. Imagine someone who has spent 10 years believing, "I'm just unlucky," if they suddenly accepted that many of their choices created their situation. Their entire identity would collapse. That's terrifying, because if your choices created your life, then you're also responsible for changing it. Responsibility is heavy. Excuses are lighter. That's why excuses survive. They're easier to carry. The truth demands movement. The lie allows comfort. This is why people defend habits that hurt them, relationships that drain them, dreams they've already abandoned. Because changing any of those things would require admitting that the story they've believed was never completely true. And that realization can feel like grief. You're not only losing an idea, you're losing the version of yourself that was built around it. Sometimes people don't fear failure. They fear becoming someone unfamiliar, even if that unfamiliar person would finally be free. There comes a moment, for some people, when the story stops working. The excuses become too obvious. The denial becomes exhausting. The identity becomes too small. And suddenly, the question changes. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what am I refusing to see? That question changes everything. Because now, you're no longer looking for someone to blame. You're looking for something to understand. Growth doesn't begin when life becomes easier. It begins when your explanations stop satisfying you. When you can no longer comfort yourself with the same old story. That's the moment the real work begins. Not changing your job, not changing your relationship, not changing your city, changing the conversation inside your own mind. Because every external decision starts with an internal sentence. And if that sentence is a lie, your life will eventually reflect it. But if that sentence becomes honest, even when it's uncomfortable, everything else begins to shift. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, until one day you look back and realize your life didn't change because the world became different. It changed because you finally stopped protecting a story that no longer deserved your loyalty. If this conversation challenged something you've been telling yourself, don't ignore that feeling. Sometimes, discomfort isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something true has finally reached you. If you enjoy conversations like this, subscribe to Raw Mind, not because I want more subscribers, but because there are still many truths most people feel, yet rarely have the courage to face. And if this video made you think, share it with someone who might need to hear it, not to change their mind, just to give them a quiet moment to question their own. Before you leave, I want you to ask yourself one question. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. What sentence have you been repeating for years that you've never actually questioned? Write it down. Look at it. Then ask yourself, is this a fact? Or is this simply the story I've become attached to? Because sometimes the life you've been searching for is waiting on the other side of a single honest answer. Until next time, stay curious, and more importantly, stay honest with yourself.